You're watching Tech Talk in affiliation with Tech for Techs. We're a community that supports independent trade with the help of vendors and distributors. We're live every Thursday at 8 p.m. London time, and we'll be streaming to Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and many more. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, and your host, Philip Griffiths.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech for Tech's Tech Talks, where we discuss different ways to make your IT business grow. My name is Phil Griffiths, and I'm your host for today. Today's show is why and how you started in IT. Today, we're joined by Jenny, Marianne, Tim, and David. Right, first, before we go on any further, if you are in the Facebook group, make sure you click on the link. I'm going to post now, and I think we've already got someone smart saying about it already, so let's just put there. So let me just paste it. If you click on that link, your name will be shown. So yes, hi Peter Campbell, Facebook user, we can see you. So he's here and rocking. Hi Raheem, and hi Peter again, and Richard and Ian. So how you all doing, guys? Right, I'm taking it you can hear and see us because you're not complaining, so I'm going to carry on. Today's show is the first time we're live on LinkedIn as well. So if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you say hi. And that's as long as I've gone and set it up and it's working right and as it's intended. But we'll soon find out after the show. Right. Okay. So let's move on. So Maz, if you would like to introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are, what you do, and what tip story you've got for us today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Maz or Marianne, whichever you want to call me, and I run Tech Girl UK, which is a sole trader business doing web design and graphic design, video production, and some other stuff, and currently working towards moving back into IT support after a short break. My tech tip today is WhatsApp on Android. I'm a massive user of WhatsApp. Me and a couple of my clients actually send voice messages. Now, I find it really annoying is that I will go through a long thing, record a long voice message to my client. I'll be like, did I say what I wanted to actually say, or did I kind of muddle up what I was trying to say? And there's no obvious way to actually listen back to it. But I found that if you, once you've started recording and you flip the button up to lock it so that you're recording, you don't have to hold it. If you actually swipe up so that you get the kind of list of your apps that are kind of currently running, and then go back into WhatsApp, you'll actually see that it's held the message there, and you can then click play, listen back to the voice message that you've just made before you send it, and can actually delete it if it's not good enough. That's my little tech tip for today.
Yeah, it's a pretty good tip, that, to be honest. And I think that goes for probably a lot of technologies. Make sure you read back before you press send. Especially in these days, things like Outlook, you can actually get it to play it back to you. So it reads it back to you so you can actually hear what the other person's going to read. Because a lot of time when you check stuff over, you think, oh, that looks good and it's fine. And then you press send and then you read it back half an hour later and you're thinking, my God, I only put 4 words in the thing and 2 of them are wrong, which I did today, funnily enough, on Facebook. But that's another story. Right, let's move on to Tim then. So, Tim, if you want to let everyone know who you are, where you're from, and any tips or story for today.
Yep. So my name's Tim. As IT Campaign and IT Solutions. Generally, at the moment, doing a lot of upgrading networking, pubs, restaurants, that kind of thing. Generally, like computer repairs as well. So a bit of everything. My tip today really is everything is in the process of reopening. You've now got markets reopening as well. So look out for the opportunity to get a table there or at these fairs, particularly in your local area. Get the word out you're still around, you haven't disappeared, or you survived, we'll say. It's always good for local advertising, and you never know what business you're going to get as a result of it.
Okay, that's a pretty good tip as well, and especially if you're quiet or something like that, you can never do too much advertising, can you, really? Even if it's just like blogs and stuff like that and not direct sales, there's always time to do advertising. There's always that 5 minutes somewhere where you haven't got anything to do or you're waiting for a scan to go through and you can easily make a post or something. So yeah, definitely with the advertising. Let's just get on to chat before it all starts disappearing. So hi, Paul at Neo Computers. I'm keeping okay, thank you. I think the rest of the guests are doing pretty well as well. Hi, Alison, as well. And we've got, well, she says it's looking good. Or I hope she's saying I'm looking good, but I think she's just saying the picture's looking good. And it sounds great. We've also got Peter saying hi as well. Carl Bunting as well, saying evening. Let's have a look. I blame my keyboard. It keeps skipping words from Richard. Yeah, that's a good thing to blame is the keyboard. I must admit, I did have a mechanical keyboard once, which kept skipping keys if I skipping letters if I was typing too fast. I must admit, I had to change it for another one. And we've got Kunal. Hi, Kunal. Hi, Peter as well. And hi to the other Peter as well. So we've got enough Peters watching today by the looks of it. Right, okay, on to David then. So David, did you actually finally get a tip for us today? And do you want to introduce everyone? Well, let everyone know who you are, should I say.
Hello everyone, my name's David from Scorpion Computers. I'm in Hetley Hall in the northeast of England. I do sort of computer repairs, laptop repairs, gaming PCs, all that type of things. Yeah, my sort of tip for the day was basically just a reminder that the Ryzen 3000 APUs come out in just over a month's time. They're being released August the 5th. That's the retail version, so that they've been out for the last few months in sort of pre-builds from factories and that. But they haven't actually been released, and AMD said just a few weeks ago they were going to release them, and they released them on August the 5th. So I don't know about yourself, but I think the gaming PCs have been vastly lacking recently. There's not been sort of many graphics cards, and previously for the 3000 series APUs, I used to sell a fair amount of these integrated graphics PCs, like really low-end budget machines. So I'm looking forward to these processors from AMD coming back into the market and being with the distributors and things like that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get some when they come out, because I know stock obviously has been pretty bad recently with releases, especially graphics card releases and that type of thing, and just seem to disappear. And on release day, you can't get any, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, lots of issues with graphics cards. Hopefully things will get better with the Bitcoin prices dropping in China and so forth, but I have a feeling it'll be a bit of everything will drop and then give it a few months, and as they move over to different countries, the prices will start increasing again, to be honest. But again, I hope I'm wrong. Let's put it that way. So let's just go into the chat before we go into Jen. So yeah, Kunal saying change it for a Cherry keyboard. Believe it or not, Kunal, I did change it for a Cherry keyboard. I've got the Cherry MX 1.0, so that was actually a good recommendation. And mentioning Cherry,
Cherry is the market leader and expert for mechanical switches and keyboards, as well as the specialist for computer input devices within its two business areas, gaming and professional. At its headquarters in Auerbach in Bavaria, Germany, the company develops and produces high-quality key switches as well as keyboards.
So that was actually good timing, as you can tell. So thank you, Kunal, for actually reminding me. I've got to press that button and basically pay the bills. So, but yeah, if you haven't tried Cherry's products before, obviously put in the comments or whatever. I'll get a Cherry rep to contact you if you need to. There's no doubt one watching this show or will be later. But they're a good group of guys. I must admit, we've got Cherry products, and they do look all nicely branded together, usually white boxes and nice clear packaging and so forth. But again, that's Cherry, and if you want more information, you can go to cherry.co.uk. Right, so let's go on to Jenny first. So, right, Jenny, what's your job, basically? What do you do, and what's your tip of the day?
Hi there. Depends on what time of the day, really. I am the owner of Tech for Techs. Basically, I do a little bit of everything. I build computers. I repair computers. I do editing for your videos that you see on Tech for Techs. Whatever Phil doesn't want to do, I'm the one that does it. So, anyway, my tip for the day, I'll get onto that before I get in trouble. You might want to be polishing up on your desktop shortcuts, your keyboard shortcuts, because Microsoft has tweaked about Windows 11. And when you right click on a document, you used to get this nice drop down menu. Do you want to open it? Do you want to print it? Do you want so forth and so on? Well, they've condensed that down quite a bit right now. And you have to go into another section to see more, basically. And they're making it like going around a mountain to get to a molehill. So I'm thinking, why do we have to see more? Why couldn't you just left it all in this nice handy drop down menu, right click, boom? But no. So you'll do a lot better instead of going there, right clicking, and then selecting print, doing Control P. I haven't stopped doing Control P, and I'm all the time, boom, 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 boom. And Phil's over there, right click, select. And no, that's not me. I get it done really quick. So you might want to do that. I hope they reconsider this before launch day, but then again, you got to know who we're dealing with here. Hold on, we're in for a bumpy ride, people.
Yeah, I must admit I'm using Windows 11 at the moment on this actual machine. I'm using it, so if I suddenly go blue screen of death and disappear, you'll know why. It's Windows 11's fault. So probably not the best thing trying it out on the live stream, but I want to see how it works. So Jen's actually co-host today, so worst case scenario, if I do disappear, she can take control. So, but yeah, Windows 11, that right click is a little bit annoying for me because you right click on your desktop. For example, I'll right click on my desktop at the moment. It only gives you an option for sorting, undo, new item, display set, and personalize. There's no option for, if you were to right click on a file for copy or paste, you have to then click on the button at the bottom what says show more options, which then gives you the options for copy, paste. And don't get me wrong, it may all change by the time it comes out, but it's just a little bit of a pain. You just having, right, what function was it to rename a document and stuff rather than going all the way through 3 different screens to get to where you want to go to. So, yeah, I must admit. Do you have any news or updates for us about TechMax, Jen?
Well, none that I can share right away. I've got some exciting things that I'm sitting on right now, and I'm just dying to share it. Really, I am. But I can't say much except for things are looking really good. I'm getting really excited about it. And as soon as I know everything and I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and things are signed, I'm going to be on here making a really big announcement. And I think that a lot of you are going to just go to tech heaven because some of the things that I'll be telling you, you will have never seen before, possibly. So I'll just leave it at that.
You got me interested now. I want to know what's going on. Right, I'm kidding. Right, so yes, Peter, you're correct. Rename is F2. I did have to actually look it up to figure out what it was, but yeah, it is F2. So I had to do that on quite a few files earlier on, and I was like, damn, how do you rename these files? We're doing it quickly, and it is F2. Right, let's go on to me. So who am I? So obviously I'm the influencer at Tech for Techs. You see me on most videos, live shows, I'm the host and so forth. But I also own a independent computer shop called Chips Computers and so forth. We do all the usual stuff, computer repairs, sales, and so on. My tip of the day was actually what Jen's just mentioned. So I'm going to have to make one off the top of the head. So let's go for the Right to Repair Act has come in today, but this only seems to cover white goods like washers, fridges, freezers, and so forth. This does not affect brown goods, which are computers, TVs, entertainment systems, and stuff like that. So at the moment, on the tech side of things, nothing much has changed, but be prepared prepared, because usually when they push it on one thing, the rest will follow. So generally, if you're not aware what that act, the Right to Repair Act actually is, it's where manufacturers have to basically keep parts or even manufacture parts. So they've got these parts available for the products they sell for up to 10 years. So parts are available to obviously replace bits. So like inside washing machines, something goes or whatever, you can easily replace it, or a technician can replace it. It doesn't affect your warranty. That's not covered or anything like that. It doesn't make your warranty 10 years. It's just that they have to make the parts available. But there's nothing out there saying that they don't have to make the parts really expensive. So they could just really produce one extra part and say, yeah, it's £5,000 for this little bolt, just to stop people buying it. So it's there's nothing there really to stop them charging what they want. So, but who knows what's the future. So, right, let's have a quick look at the chat before we go any further. What do you guys think of PC Specialist Gaming PC at £300 on eBay for Roblox and Fortnite? Must be a good markup on those. I've not seen those, to be honest, Raheem. Have any of you guys seen £300 gaming machines from PC Specialist?
Yeah, I've seen one or two appear, yeah.
I was just trying to have a look now, but I can't see anything on there. I'm just trying to search. Sounds like a good deal, but I'm assuming it would be low-end graphics cards.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be integrated graphics or something like that. It can't be much good for 300 quid. It's struggle to buy Windows license for 100 quid these days, let alone the rest of the machine for 200. So, but yes, PC Specialist, we deal a little bit with their trade arm, which is Fortune Tech. So we get a lot of custom laptops from them, or should I say the parts to make the custom laptops and so forth. Or you can get them to make them if you want. We deal with them and don't have much of an issue, but obviously the other side of the business is slightly different. And I can't say I've seen any 300 quid PCs, but if they're there, then I'd be questioning the price at 300 quid, that's for sure, especially for gaming. You can't get a graphics card for 300 quid at the moment, can you? Let alone a PC. So, right, so let's have a look what else is going on in chat. So we've got quite a bit. We've got essays going on at the moment, so they're replying to it. Right, I'm not going to go through things where people are replying to each other. Oh, here we go. Paul saying PC Specialist Vortex AR Gaming is a piece of Intel, so it's i3-9100F GTX 1658 gig, 1 terabyte hard drive, new for $350. That's not.
All I want to know is what lorry it fell off of. That's
yeah.
Yeah, it does sound a little bit cheap, to be honest, especially if they're including Windows licenses in that. But double check to see if they are including Windows and if it's not an extra or something along that lines, because obviously that can affect the price by 100 quid on its own. But 1650 is, I'm not sure what prices they're going for at the moment, but I'm guessing a 1650, if you would buy one of those from distribution, is going to cost you 200, maybe 250 quid on their own. So, and an i3 processor's, what, about 100 quid? So, just the processor and the graphics card comes to about 350 quid. So it sounds like a pretty good price, to be honest with you. But again, it depends what's in it. You just don't know what power supply and stuff. And it is from private sellers, by the looks of it, he's saying. Yeah. So you just don't know what lorry they're off of, or it was a clearance line, or something like that. So yeah, we'll give that one a miss for now. So right, let's go on to the main topic then. So what was today's topic? Oh yeah, so how and why you started in IT. So obviously, guys, if you want to comment in chat how you first started, what you did and so forth, and why you did it, feel free. I'm going to go through the chat, so we'll go in order. Well, it would help if I was in the right order at the moment. I'm in the wrong place. Here we go. Right, I'm going to go to Jen first. She's going to tell us how she got into IT and go from there, and then we'll go to Maz, Tim, and then David, and I suppose I'll go last. Right, Jen, so start us off.
Okay. Well, first of all, I hate to say it, but there's not a lot of choices for a young lady growing up in South Alabama, what she's going to do. You're either a school teacher or a nurse. Neither one of those were anything I was wanting to do with my life. So I took a year off between school and going to college to try and figure out what it was I liked doing versus what people expected of me. I knew that in school, I enjoyed when we got the Apple computers in our school. I used to go over there. I would race through my work, getting it done, and go over and play Frogger on the Apple computers. And I really enjoyed it, and I was good at it, which also gave you extra grades for being good at your computer work. So I went to business school, and that was a way that we could learn about computers, software programs that are long obsolete now, called DBase, Lotus 123, and WordPerfect. And I was like top of my class in those. If you wanted to know something, I was the queen. You go to me, and so much so, when I was taking the course, I noticed there was the commands they were telling me to do were not correct. And I took it to my instructor. I said, "This isn't right." She says, "Show me." I said, "Look, here's what you do." Punched a few buttons. She says, "Write that down on the textbook. Somebody else is going to need to know that." Well, there I am. So I end up kind of teaching the class in a roundabout way. And after a failed attempt at being married, we'll say, I had to get out and get a job. And my next door neighbor worked at Dell Computers. And he saw me out one day, and he says, what's up? And I said, "I need a job," and trying to find one. It's horrible in this area. And it's nothing. I'm not a daycare worker. I'm not this. I'm not that. He says, "You're good with computers, aren't you?" I said, "Okay." He says, "Come to me tomorrow, and I'll give you a job interview." Oh, happy day. I went out there, and the only thing I was scared of was my typing skills, because I'm a little bit dyslexic, and I didn't want that to slow me down and everything. And he said, basically at the end of the interview, "I don't care." He says, "As long as you can get a coherent sentence in there, you're in." Basically the typing didn't slowing me down didn't affect getting the job. And I really enjoyed working there. I worked in the hardware tech support there. And I did over the phone troubleshooting. I got my first business award there for the award-winning Dell Techs. Yes, I was there on that team. The team, dude, you're getting a Dell from our award-winning tech support, and I was one of the award winners. So I was really pleased about that. Then I met Phil a couple of years later, and he had a computer call-out service, and we joined forces, and here we are today. So it's been a match made in heaven, I would say, in more ways than one.
Yeah, nice one. So, okay, you've done that, but what are your interests in IT? Why do you want to carry on doing IT?
Well, I really like the gaming side of building computers, helping kids out who are coming up in the world of computers, their interest in computers. When I see kids interested in it, well, there I am. I want to encourage them, whether it be playing a video game or whatever. I want to make sure that their computer experience is an enjoyable one. So I guess you would say I like to convert the little ones over in hopes that one day they'll say, "I remember that lady who I went to for my first gaming PC, and she was really cool. She played the games as well. She knew her stuff, and she helped me get this really awesome PC. She built it up for me." So yeah, I want to stay in it as long as I can to help the younger generation find their way in it.
Okay, nice one. And just to comment on that, where what they told you should be at school, we had like a software program. I can't even remember what it was called, but you basically put in your interests and what you like doing, and it told you what you're supposed to be at the end. Mine was a milkman. So yeah, can't be much further from the truth. I don't think they even had even though it was like a computer software, and I mean it was very basic, but they didn't even have anything IT related in the software of what you wanted to do. So it was that it was that bad. So everyone was going to be a milkman, hairdresser, I don't know, a nurse, or something like that, and then you'd get all the A-star students who would be like, yeah, they were going to be nurses, doctors, lawyers. Unfortunately, to say it, most of them are actually working in Tesco's and Sainsbury's at the moment. But that's what it actually told you going to be. So I don't think it was accurate for anyone, to be honest.
Most of my friends either became nurses or teachers. No kidding, and hats off to them. We couldn't have the world without nurses and teachers. It wasn't for me. I was always a wee bit different. And in the States, when you graduate high school, you write what is called a class will. And what it is a prediction of your future. And I wrote that I would be the owner of a famous advertising company, global advertising company. And I would have all of these hands in many pots and all things like that. And people would come to me. I wouldn't have to go to them because they would know me. Tech for Tex is almost writing that class will up word for word. if you really think about it, it is advertising in a way. It is global as it reaches across the globe. Our show even. So it's not far off, and I was just kidding around when I wrote it. I really didn't know. I just knew that I didn't want to be what the test that I took told me that I was going to be, which was a paramedic. So hats off to all of those, like I say, but it wasn't for me.
Nice one. Right, let's move on to Maz then. So Maz, let's go with you. Did you have one of those programs at school that told you what you should be?
Yes, and I used to find it fascinating going to the library because they had a book that had it all in, and I always used to go down the library and just look through the book randomly at things that I wanted to be. None of which I think I ever became, to be honest. Yeah, so where to start? So my dad was really keen on computers and used to have a lot of friends. He used to go around their house and do computers and do stuff and have beer and stuff like that. And I thought it was absolutely fascinating. And so kind of started joining my dad from about the age of 9, building computers, and just kind of enjoyed it. It was just a thing to do with my dad. Enjoyed spending the time with him, and I learned a lot from him. When I was at school, we were pretty much IT lessons were secretarial lessons, really, to be honest. And I was at an all-girls school as well. And so we did RSAs, which are just literally secretarial qualifications. But I was always top of the class, always finding ways around the computer system to get onto the internet. So I wanted to go and do stuff or muck around, with stuff. And so it wasn't really something that I foresaw that I actually wanted to do. When I was at school, I am quite musical. For those of you that know me, I'm also a singer as well. And so that's kind of, for me, I started doing the singing and started doing the performing at amateur dramatics, and I was doing that and quite keen on that. But and so thought that I was going to go kind of down that route. I kind of wanted to be an actress, really, which no idea. But around about the age of 16, I actually wanted to have a summer job, and there was a job going at a local kind of computer shop, and I sent a letter over, and they were looking for someone just on a Saturday. And so sent a letter, and the guy said, "Oh, can you come in for an interview?" And I came in with my mum, and he said, "Will you go and get me a mouse, please, from the from the cabinet over there. And I was like, okay, didn't think anything of it, you know, thought if this is like how I get a job, this could be really easy. Picked up a mouse, took it to him, and he said, oh, you didn't ask me whether I wanted a USB or a PS2 mouse. And I was like, okay. And he never called me back. And it kind of threw my confidence a little bit when it came to IT, because I was like, oh, you know, maybe I don't want to work in IT or have a job. And I ended up working in a thing on the kind of a thing on the beach for the summer holidays instead. So I'm trying to make this not too long because it could go on for ages. When I left school, I actually went to do A levels in dance drama and English literature, and you know, had no kind of plans to go into IT. After about 3 days, I decided that I really didn't enjoy it, and I hated the girls with the perfect hands in the dance class, so I was gonna not do it. And my mum persuaded me to just go and do a secretarial diploma because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do at the time. After doing that, my parents actually saw a job advertised for a junior technician at a local adult training college. And I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go for it. You know, it'll be good experience. Luckily got the job, and I was there for a good kind of, probably I think it was about 2-3 years. I just literally turned 18 at the time. Yeah, and it was an interesting job, I will say. My role included some IT work, a lot of kind of the grunt work and the stuff that nobody else wanted to do, filling photocopiers with paper, cleaning coffee machines, that kind of thing. And I didn't particularly get on with my boss at the time, which didn't help very much. And so we ended up leaving. Throughout, I mean, that was 2001, 2002. So I was about 18, 19 then, and I am now 37. And I have pretty much worked in schools doing IT support since then, on and off between music, moved around a bit, worked up in London in a private school up there. And then just a couple of years ago, decided to go and start my own business and become self-employed, because I got fed up of working for people, to be honest, and not, I just didn't, I never enjoyed having to say yes to somebody else or be bossed around by someone else, really, I suppose. Yeah. It's the long and short of it. And in a way, I think I've always wanted to work for myself. I've done that with the singing, and been quite successful with that. And so I've wanted to apply that kind of, the skills that I learned from doing that and advertising that and marketing that and having that as a business, and putting that forward with the IT. And unfortunately, it just so happened that obviously the pandemic started about 3 months after I started going self-employed. So it has been an uphill struggle and continues to be at the moment, but things are gradually progressing. But yeah, so I never really actually wanted to be in IT. It wasn't ever something that I foresaw myself going into, but I do really, really enjoy it. And I definitely would stay in it, because I think the one thing that I've always felt, which kind of makes me want to continue doing it, is I just enjoy helping people. I have always been like the go-to person in the schools that I've worked in, because I'm kind of quite easy to get on with. I don't want to put anyone down in terms of, but there is that the archetypal technician that can be quite hard to communicate to sometimes. Okay, I'm not saying everyone here is one of those, but I've worked with a few in my time, and I always ended up being the kind of go-to person, because I kind of just made it easy to understand. And in my early days, whilst I didn't know as much as one of the other technicians, I was able to communicate between the two and kind of was the go-between. And I enjoyed doing that. And as my kind of knowledge has grown, my experience has grown, it's just the two mixed together has worked really well for me. So yeah, hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah, I think that's a good point there. Confidence is a big thing, and being able to speak to people definitely is. Doesn't matter how good of a technician you are, if you can't speak to the customer and get the job, or tell them in plain English what's going on or whatever, they're not going to want you back, or at least get you to do any work. So being like that is good. And I know, unfortunately, a lot of technicians are not very good with people. We're good with computers.
Yeah.
We're not good with talking to people.
I think that's
I
a
want to-
stereotype,
I want
isn't
to,
it, that everyone
reply.
expects.
Oh, sorry, you're both talking
Sorry.
together. What did
Go ahead.
I think it's just a stereotype, isn't it? I think we do sit at a computer in the dark sometimes and stare at the screen for hours on end. But and there are, I just think it's a stereotype that's just stuck. And I think I've gradually seen the progression of how technicians have changed over the years that I've worked in it, and seen people that the majority of people that I started work with when I was younger weren't able to communicate with people, whereas there seems to be a newer breed, if you want to call it that, of technicians who are way more able to talk to people. Maybe that's my own opinion, but I think that yeah, as you say, it is really important that we are, you've got to deal with customers. They are your business, and so being able to communicate properly and effectively with your customers is probably paramount to running a successful business, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it goes for any business, doesn't it? What were
Yeah.
you going to say, Jim?
I wanted to reply. There was a comment that's gotten buried down. Basically, someone and his little one is watching, and the little one wants me to mentor him and bring him into the tech experience. And to him, whoever the little one is, you go for it. If you want to be an IT, you do that. Don't let anyone stop you. Build those gaming rigs, do whatever it is that you like about computers, and that is perfectly okay. The world needs you.
Yeah, and make sure you spend all your dad's money while you're in the process, because he's got lots of it. There we go. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that one now. Right. Okay. Let's move over to Tim then. So, Tim, let us know, obviously, how you got into the trade and why.
I started off. I got the bug young, about 8 or 9 years old. I was lucky enough. My father worked for one of the big oil companies, so he brought a computer home. This was when the working from home thing was literally in its infancy, we could say. So the thing about it was still 14.4K modems they had to do reverse dial, so you didn't get the phone bill and that kind of thing. So yeah, a long time ago. But yeah, so it started off with that. So I had access to it from that, and then on top of that, my father was also doing stuff within the IT, like the DMS, the system setup side of things as well. So SharePoint, when it first was introduced, for example, and when I was asked to go in and help him, or should we say, at 15 years old, my summer holiday jobs weren't, say, working anything manual labour. I was going into this and getting very well paid for a 15-year-old, but working in offices, testing systems set up and trying to break stuff, getting databases set up, that kind of thing. So that really got started the bug. At school, I was always the one trying to jump to get to the original BBC Micro computers that schools had. I was the one always trying to get to use that at lunchtime or whatever. So had gaming consoles at home as well. I started from about 7 years old. But yeah, then it's kind of going, say, through school and that. I was always the one people go to and ask questions to. All my friends, I still get on with them now. The group of 5 of us, we've known each other for about, I think too long, 20-something years. For example, we're all still friends. In fact, one of them's my brother-in-law now. So, we all still, even now, we all still meet up online on a Friday evening. So that's why no one gets anything from me at that time. But no matter where we are, because we all live different parts of the country now. Well, some of us do anyway. But that kind of thing. And then going to jobs, I was always taken on for one role, and I always end up being the unofficial IT expert, IT guy on the site. So the whole gaming thing started from that. I started building my own gaming rigs from the first PC as soon as I had enough money from some holiday jobs. So I got a PC and then started manually upgrading it, kind of. That started there. And we're talking AMD single core processors kind of time. But all obviously, so then after about 15 years of working for big corporates, where I was the guy who was actually giving the solutions, the one giving the solutions to these managers, I was the one not getting any credit for it. They were always saying, "Yeah, we can do it right." Okay, next thing you know, they're on the phone or they're emailing me. And similar thing to what Maz said, when the subcontractors worked out it was actually coming from me as a solution, they were going directly to me, and it kind of upset my line manager a bit, because she was meant to know what she's talking about. Actually, she didn't know what she was talking about at all in one case. That kind of pushed me to do my own thing. After that, I got made redundant. But the bulk of where I learned how to do it was when we had this whole scare in Y2K, when it hits 2000, every computer's going to die a death horribly. My father set up his own computer business, and I was helping him basically rebuild all these computers every single time, like 20 or 30 of them, every single time rebuilding, because he was doing training courses on the supposed fix for it, we'll say. And he made a killing out of that. I learned from being taught that way. Started doing my own thing, and be honest, I still do gaming today. I don't stop. I've still got games that are 20-something years old. I still play. So yes, DVD drive. They're a must-have in any rig. I'll say that. For the old games, anyway. If you still got the original discs. All honesty, I still do the gaming to this day. But the reason why I really do it is I worked in retail throughout university, so I came out of uni without any debt at all, somehow. It was university, work kind of thing, go to work, and I still have a social life. I don't know how, but doing that. And from that perspective, so I got the customer service bug. The reason why I do it is the customer service side of it. I might be sometimes I come off as quite quiet to people, or I don't talk to people if I'm not sure. But if people, in terms of the customer service side, I can always flip a switch, and I can change in that way. So it's go from quiet and shy to, I'll tell you, I think, to quote one person, I could talk for hours about it, and if I really wanted to. But that's how I got into it. I'm still doing to this day. I don't think I'll stop. So much so I dragged my wife when we met. She could play game consoles, but she wasn't really into games. But she's realised she's not going to stop me doing it. So so she can't beat us, join us. So pretty much where I'm at. And I think you say passing the skills on. I've got an 8-year-old son who is already picking up all the bad habits. Customers drop computers off. 8-year-olds and kids just say things without thinking. A case comes in with a perspex side that looks like it's got a severe, like someone's booted it. And my son comes out in front of the kids who it belongs to, parent, and says, "Daddy, that doesn't look right." And I'm trying not to.
No kidding.
I'm trying not to say anything in front, but I passed it on to my son already at 8 years old. He's watched me do that. He quite happily passed me a screwdriver if I ask him to now. So, and
he really get an education around me.
But that's pretty much, started out from when I was 7 or 8, and now at 40 years old, I'm still doing it, and it's my way of relaxing as well. So it sounds crazy, but I'll sit there, put a game on, and lose track of time, lose myself in with a headset on. So
it's therapeutic.
Exactly.
I'm seeing the chat here, Phil, that we are famous at school. He watches. Yes. This little boy watches the show every week with his father, and he says Phil is famous in his school now.
Okay.
So
I don't know if it's famous or infamous, or whichever way you want to call it. But,
that's really sweet. What's your son's name? And I'll give him a shout out.
I think Kunal's son and Tim's son need to get together and host
I know.
the Tech for Tech Talk Young Show or something like that, or
Oh,
the next
that's
generation.
not good.
Yeah,
In another 10, 15
the next
years,
generation.
maybe.
Yeah.
In another 10 or 15 years, the next generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Right. Okay. So I think we're on to David now. So come on then, David. How did you start off then?
Hello. Yeah. Basically, I hate IT. I hate computers. I hate laptops. I just do it for the money. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, let's move on then.
At least he's honest.
I think he answered why, but how did you get into this job you absolutely hate then?
No, I'm obviously completely joking. Yeah, I mean, like everyone else, I started liking computers and getting into computers from an early age. We got a family computer in the house, and I was always just really intrigued by it. I was always opening it up inside, looking at it, just messing on Windows. I think it was something like Windows XP or 98. This is sort of late 90s because I'm only in my 30s. Yeah, and I got in from then really when we had a family computer, and then I got my first gaming PC when I was a little bit older, maybe it was about 12 or something. Got it custom built by somebody who did that type of thing, not from a shop, it was a proper custom built one. And I used to go into IT in secondary school, and I was kind of I was never wanting to just sit and listen and learn. I was always wanting to investigate myself in IT. So I think it was Windows 98 maybe is what we were using back then in the secondary school when I was in secondary school. And I used to go in the C drive and go in Windows and have a look around and see what was in there. And just doing stuff that the IT technician on site didn't like. I can remember
Guilty of that one, yeah.
I remember one time I deleted a load of files that weren't meant to be deleted, and the computer just wouldn't boot after they switched it back on, and they didn't know what was up. And I also I found a program. I think it was Windows 98. It was called Win Pop-Up.
Yeah.
It was on the C drive in the Windows directory, and I told all of my friends in the class and in the school about it. And I didn't know what it was, but I was just really intrigued. So I didn't realize it was some sort of messaging program.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them how to open it up, and so they all had it open, and I had it open, and we started sending messages back and forth in the class for an hour. Just stuff, to text, speech, and I can remember saying one thing like, "Hello, everyone. Elvis has left the building," or something like that. And little did I know that all of the teachers and the head teacher used this messaging app to talk to each other, and all the messages were going school wide.
Oh no!
To all the teachers and the head teachers in the school. So I got near the end of the IT lesson, I got pulled. I got took into a disciplinary basically with all of some of the pupils that were doing the same thing, and got told off. Yeah, and I always loved computers. I used to bring floppy disks into school with games on, like asteroids and things, and put them in the floppy disk and play them when the teacher wasn't watching. And everyone thought it was fantastic. Like, how did you do that? Where did you get that from? And I was very investigative. I used to look things up all the time. I don't know about yourselves, but I basically left school and I did not do very good in my GCSE IT. And I didn't quite know what to do after school. I wasn't really one of those people where I wanted to get into a certain job. I kind of knew I wanted to do something in IT, but unfortunately, I did like a work experience and said I would like to go somewhere to do with IT. So the sent us to a college for a week where I was making cups of coffee and looking through spreadsheets. What that had to do with IT, I never know. And then for another week, they sent us to a call center where I was listening to calls. And that was when I was about 15, 16. Anyway, I finished school.
Yep.
I was meant to go and do a college course. I didn't do it. I tell you now, I'm one of those people where there's not many IT technicians like this, but I am completely self-taught, 100%. I basically finished school. I didn't have many qualifications, and I went into a call center job, and I got stuck in a call center for a lot of years, around about, I think I was in a call center for about 9, 10 years. When I was in the call center, people used to say, "Oh, this is not working. I'm going to phone tech support, IT support," and they'd say, "Oh, David, you're good with computers. Could you have a look?" And I was IT support, unofficial IT support, fixing people's computers in the office, in the call center, and that. And could you help us with this? Could you do that? Could you do this? And everyone kept saying to us, you need to be out of here. You need to be doing something better than this. You need to be doing IT. You need to have your own business, or work in a shop, or have your own shop. And it was daunting at the time, and obviously I was on a decent wage where I was. But yeah, I was always one that was, I used to buy laptops, buy computers, and fix them up myself. And I did some mock A+ exams on those to learn myself some more. And yeah, I was just completely self-taught. And about 8, 9 years ago, I basically started buying gaming PC bits, selling gaming PCs. And I quit my job and started doing this full time. And I've never really looked back. I've really enjoyed. I just love fixing things. I love fixing laptops. I love building things, building gaming computers. And as Jenny said earlier, building gaming PCs for sort of younger kids and watching them get into it. Because I used to play on games on PC when it was like XP and things on discs, and just to get them into it again. What I've done previously, and yeah, it can be very fulfilling in a way. I mean, it's much better than sitting in a call center talking to people on a phone, because that was just, I don't know how I did 10 years of that, to be honest.
We're a lot alike. We really are in that we have done the call center thing. We are self-taught, because other than taking some software courses, which are totally obsolete, I am self-taught.
Yeah, I did a few courses as well, a few sort of software type courses, but nothing
could prepare me though for where I am now.
Yeah, I do say though, Jenny, that although I did work in a call center / an office, I worked in an office for a while as well. It really helped with the people skills that you were mentioning earlier, because as Marianne said, a lot of techs are sort of within themselves and don't really know how to talk to people, and they're quite shy and don't know how to converse with other people. And when you've done a different type of job, like working in a call center, you actually get training. I got training for 6 weeks on how to speak to your customers, which is, I didn't like the job, but that was so beneficial for me going forward for what I'm doing now, because it's essential that you're able to talk to people and explain what you've done, what the problem is, and that type of thing.
I got on the phone one day at the call center, and I got what was called a relay call. And basically, this is someone who has trouble either seeing or hearing. One of the two, could be both even. So they had this person in between telling what was being said, and they'd put stop for a period, and they'd carry on. Well, I guess I was the only one at the call center that didn't mind these calls, because they seemed like the most patient people in the world. They knew you were trying to help them. They didn't get ornery with you. And I would just basically break it down really simple, like, because if you tried to go overly technical, you'd lose them.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned how to relay a message to people on a people level.
Yeah.
Is through relay talking.
I've had those calls as well, and they were beneficial as well. I've seen someone put in the chat there, Facebook user said, didn't have computer lessons when I was at school. I mean, my computer lessons at school were, in my eyes, completely pointless. I don't know what, it was just such basic stuff. I mean, in the later years, maybe they learned a little bit about spreadsheets and Microsoft Word as that was coming in, and that was being a bit more prominent, but you learn nothing about how to fix computers, how to do anything like that. Nothing that really you can use today.
It was, this is a floppy disk. This is what you boot your computer with. Boom. That is your lesson today.
I could have not had those lessons.
I think the most...
I mean, I'll be honest. Most of the stuff, things in how to fix computers, was when my dad bought his first computer when I was 7 or 8. Friends coming round, they had the original Doom, so they bought it round on disk, installed it, broke the computer. I think you see where I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
So, learning by breaking it, that's how...
Well, it came out of your pocket money to fix it, didn't it?
That one didn't know, but...
No, you got a freebie. Hey,
Yeah,
if you're listening, don't take apart your dad's computer just yet.
Yeah, can be costly. Right, I suppose it's me next, but before we go on to that, Facebook user, if you haven't already seen the message in chat, if you click on that link, what says chat.restream.io/Facebook, or FB, should I say, that'll allow your name to be shown on the show. It's just one of these Facebook things where you have to grant it permissions to let your name be shown. So that's the person who's showing up as Facebook user. Right. Okay, so I suppose it's my turn. And believe it or not, mine's not far off the same as David's history, to be honest with you. I'm not that far off, to be honest with you. When it really first started, I think my dad had a BBC Micro. So again, that's been mentioned a few times tonight, BBC Micros. Playing, I can't remember much in the way of the games on there. I remember there was one with a wizard and you can change into a dog or something, or a monkey, and jump over different things and stuff like that. There was Chucky Egg, obviously Space Invaders and all those different things. And I think the original Elite was also on that as well. Then moved on to an Amiga. It was the Amiga 500. That'll make Ben happy if he's watching. Where the first instance of upgrading it was more of my dad upgrading it. It was adding like an external hard drive and more memory, I think, was into it or something like that. So it could run an Amiga operating system, so you could actually install the games on the hard drive rather than using 101 floppies to load a game up or whatever and change them every 5 minutes. Then it went on to PC. I think it was a Intel Pentium 133 megahertz. But that was basically at home. But at school-wise, well, they were pretty pathetic, to be honest with you. There was no real IT until I got into the sixth form area. So that's like equivalent to college, if anyone unsure. But I did like a business and finance course, and the IT courses then, they called them IT, but all it was here's a sheet, do what it says on this sheet, and do this, make this spreadsheet look the same, and that was it. And they had 10 of them. When you got to the last one, you had to do them all over again, and that was the IT course. And we had 2-3 years of that. As you can imagine, the teacher doesn't really catch on that we all just saved the documents and printed them out again every week. We just sat there messing about. But the game, because the teachers didn't know much about it, most of them have never used a typewriter, let alone a computer, even the IT teachers. I remember in the business, we had like a separate room for the business and finance course we did, and it was like playing around in Windows and finding what we could do, and I think we ended up getting a cracked copy of Duke Nukem or something along that line. Managed to get that running on the network. There was another one. It was sort of a spaceship game. Was it Descent or something like that? I can't remember now. And Grand Theft Auto, and I mean the original one.
Oh, no.
Oh, I've still got that. Yeah.
I'm playing that over the network, but the teachers didn't know. They didn't know what we're doing. We could walk past and we'd just say to them, "Oh yeah, we're just doing a presentation or something." PowerPoint or whatever the presentation software was back then, and they wouldn't even
That's
know.
concerning.
No, they just didn't care, to be honest with you. So I'd say we were playing more Duke. We got pretty good at Duke Nukem. We found all the nice places to hide and everything, which was pretty cool. But that was a game and a half back in its day. So yeah, going on from there, as I said, I was told I could be a milkman. Nothing wrong with milkman or anything like that, but well, I definitely didn't go down that side of things. Then it went on to later in life. So left school, finished at sixth form, did the business and finance stuff, and couldn't get a job. I went down to see my brother, who was in the RAF down in Uxbridge near London, and I managed to get a interview there. There was just a place with a board outside, IT person required. It wasn't really technical about saying what sort of IT person, as most people still today thinking every IT person knows every single thing about IT. They think like a programmer can repair computers, and someone who's good at word processing can also repair computers, which is not always the case. But basically got a job, ended up being basically for Sony. So I worked for Sony on the PlayStation 2 development tool, which was basically the machine they designed all the games on. So I'd be repairing those, and then I ended up getting in charge of it was like the repair center for the PlayStation 2. So they'd like figure out what was wrong with them, and they'd obviously do all the repairs and stuff. I absolutely hate consoles to the day. I've never owned it. Well, I still lie. I owned one console, and the only thing that console ever did was play DVDs. So that's all I used it for. It was a DVD player. I absolutely hate them. I hate controllers. Even though it's for Sony, absolutely hated the things. So I like my PCs. And don't tell Ben I don't mind an Amiga now and again. But yeah. So that was the basics how I got into IT. Then once that place closed down, they ended up moving down to Bodmin or something like that. The workshop, I don't even know if the company's even in existence anymore. Subcontracted through them, but they moved down there, and I didn't follow basically. So yes, hi Nicola. I don't know what the means, but there it is. But yeah, so moved back up to the Midlands, so Chesterfield, where I'm sort of from, or at least brought up. And then I went on and got probably did 2 or 3 jobs at computer repair places, even did a few odd jobs at places like Thornton's, which obviously chocolates. That was quite interesting. Not a nice job though, but it was interesting. But worked at a few computer stores, and basically I learned how not to repair and how not to deal with customers is basically what I learned from them, which then got me thinking, what if I did it my way? And that's when I started my business, 2005, exactly the 1st of July. And it was called Chips Computers. And the reason I called it Chips was because computers have little chips in them. But also coincidentally was above a chip shop as well, as in fish and chip shop. So because it was basically my bedroom, which was above a fish and chip shop, because my parents own a fish and chip shop. So sort of coincidentally looking the same thing. And if you ever see our logo for Chips Computers, he actually looks a bit like Pac-Man. Not intentionally either, believe it or not. He looks like Pac-Man. And what did Pac-Man used to eat? He used to eat chips. Okay, so it gives you a rough idea. You can actually see him eating the word chips on the original logo. So that's where the logo came from. And, well, the rest is sort of history. Worked sort of out in my bedroom for a while and went on from there. Met Jen a few years later. We got married, 12 years ago now. And then we decided, well, hey, let's open up a store. We did a few different things between then. We even tried selling stuff on car boots. and stuff while we're still doing the repairs. Even did trade shows. What was that place called in Manchester? Oh, Bowlers.
We did Bowlers in Manchester, and we did the Red Rat Show in Sheffield out of, I'm trying to think of the place where Jessica Ennis trained, that gym.
Oh God, it's closed down now. Don Valley Stadium.
Don Valley Stadium. Yes, so that was probably one of the most enjoyable ones, because at Bowlers, whatever the temperature was outside, it was always at least 100 degrees colder inside. We put a coat down on the floor at Bowlers the first time, and it froze to the floor. No kidding.
It was a big warehouse, basically. So they used to use it for events like boxing and stuff like that. But it was absolutely stone cold in there. No heating or anything. So you'd get there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, start everything up, and you'd need a thermos flask of tea sort of thing, and that would be frozen by the time you got to 10 o'clock. It was that cold.
You have so many layers of clothes on. You look like the Michelin tire man. I mean, really.
That's it. So after a few years, we've won a few different awards, as I've probably mentioned before. You probably all bored of all that anyway. Met a load of different vendors because of these awards. That's the main thing I've got out of these awards, is putting names down for awards, is I got to go to the events and meet the people. And that's the most important thing. I got to meet the people like the guys at Cooler Master, Gigabyte, CMS, Target, VIP, Spire, and all the guys like that. And met them, a lot of them, at these events. And that is where Text for Text started, is because of all the people met at these events. We decided, right, let's get them all involved with a sort of community. We wanted to review the products first. Initially, we wanted to work with another group, but they didn't want to sort of have it. So we sort of created our own group to actually promote, where vendors and distributors could work with technicians and stuff and try and get them involved. And that is then working up to, obviously, TextMax of next year. And we do have a few other things what we're working on, which probably a little bit later on that. But one of the things I'm always doing is planning things many years in advance sometimes. And some things are happening sooner than we expected, because originally TextMax was planned originally for 2025, but because Text for Text has grown quite a bit and faster than we expected, we've moved it forward a little bit. We were expected to get about 600 members by now. We're at about 12,500. No, 12. Sorry, not 12,500. 12,500. So yeah, quite a bit of a difference. But,
Also, moving it ahead a little bit. We need a really good party after being locked down all this time. We've done our service, and we've helped the folks out and everything, and like we should be doing. And we owe it to ourselves to get jolly and just have a great time. And that's what we're going to do.
Right. Let's have a quick go through the chat, see if we've got any questions. If anyone else has any questions or anything, shout them in now so we can obviously reply. Make sure if you're in the Tech for Text Facebook group, you click on that link, what says chat, whatever it is, click on that one so we can basically see what your name is. And yes, Peter Campbell, party. Or partay, or however you want to say it. So, right, let's go to the top of my list. So, I probably missed a few things. Alison said BBC Computers, the Mary Rose game at school. It's all coming back to me, the 80s. Richard Creedy said, with turbo loader instead of waiting 15 minutes for a game to load. Yeah, brings back memories. Kunal says his son's name is known as AK. So,
I gave a little shout out a few minutes ago.
So that's pretty cool. So hi, AK and his mates. Carl said he started with a VIC 20. So yeah, going back a few years. DOS. Used DOS quite a bit in the early days. I always remember trying to start my games up and so forth. The only problem is when you're dyslexic, trying to type something in and get it right in DOS is a pain in the backside, especially when even though you know what you're saying and it turns out to be something completely different, it's a nightmare. Not very good in DOS. So I'm glad they did come out with operating system like Windows and so forth. So
I'll never forget when we opened the store. I bought this novelty shirt, and it said C-DOS run, run DOS run. Well, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I can't tell you how many customers said, "What does your shirt mean?"
Yeah, it's only people like
I
us that
felt
know that
really, really old at that point that I
Yeah.
understood it and no one else did.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's sort of DOS still sort of built in Windows. You still got obviously PowerShell and CMD and everything like that, which is sort of a lot of DOS commands and stuff.
It's handy to know.
The same. So a lot of it's handy to know when you need to. So let's have a look. Facebook user, not sure who that is, but started with a ZX81, VIC-20, Commodore 64, Amiga, then PC. Yes, I'm old, they said. So, yeah, Facebook user, I think we're all getting old, to be honest with you. So, but even saying that, some of the younger ones do like playing with what we call retro computers now. We just call them our old computers, but then that class is retro. They're actually in fashion. More so now than they were probably in the 80s when everyone was classed as a nerd and was like a stereotype sort of thing, but they're probably a bit more fashionable now.
If you had a computer in the 80s, you were looked down upon. It was like, oh God, really? Oh my God. And you ever watch the Molly Ringwald movies? There's always this little geek on there played by Anthony Michael Hall. And that's what the computer kids were thought of, was his character. He was also in Weird Science and things like that. And that's what they thought about people who knew about computers, where they were these kind of people. So they're not really far off, though, because if Phil and I go to a party, we don't know how to talk normal. We know how to talk about processors and the latest graphics cards. We'll bore you to tears at a party. We don't know how to talk normal.
If everyone starts talking about what happened in Coronation Street and whatever,
you'll see me and Phil just look at each other like, it's time to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some of the conversations normal people have, it's just like, what? Well, then again, what is normal these days, really? So let's put it this way. Right, so next we got... Oh, Nicholas says that was me, what was talking about the ZX81s and VIC-20s. Carl says when he was 16, did bring down a 200 user Unix 6... if I start again. Basically, he brought down 200 systems from his bad database programming. So, I don't know. Peter Campbell saying, laughing at the ZX80, 81 Spectrum. Then he went to a MSX to his first PC, an Amstrad 1512. Facebook user says, I'm guessing that's Nicola again, saying didn't have computer lessons when I was at school. Let's have a look. So we got Facebook user saying again, I'm guessing that's Nicola. Yep, self-taught. I was a bus driver for 5 years. Then after leaving school, and they didn't tell me to do a job I was interested in. So yeah, there's a lot of people. It sounds like that, especially from that age group. I think a lot of people back then were just, especially, I don't know. I suppose when we were kids, it's people who were like 30 years older than us, sort of thing. They just didn't even know what computers really were, to be honest with you. So they're probably used to like the Enigma machine and stuff like that. They probably didn't know what an operating system was. So I know a lot of the teachers at our school, but hit pretty basic. I think some of the IT lessons we did have back then, it was like just a random teacher who'd take you for the lesson who knew nothing about computers. It was pretty pointless, to be honest with you, I think, most of the time. And I think you'd probably spend the whole hour trying to get the printer working.
I remember before I met Phil, I was dating this guy, and he told me, you can't officially call yourself a geek until you build your own computer. And I accepted the challenge. And I bought all of the parts in, and I built it up. The only thing I asked him to do was, because he had a steadier hand, was drop the processor into the motherboard. I'd do the rest. I didn't want to bend the pins. And from there, I was unstoppable. I found his A+ book sitting on the bedside table one day when he was at work. He comes home, and I'm knee-deep in an A+ book. most of the other women in the world are watching soap operas. There I am reading A+. He just said, take it on if you really want it, and loaded me up with C+ books and everything. And he turned me on to the game where I met Phil. I can't really say too much bad things about him.
Yeah, well,
because of him.
Won't go too in depth about that one, but yeah. So we've also got a lot of people saying that they're self-taught, which well, it depends on what you class as self-taught. Probably my dad showed me how to turn the Amiga or BBC on when I was probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years old to load my games up, and that was probably about it. Maybe use the original Amiga operating system. I don't know if it had a proper name or whatever back then. No doubt Ben, if he's watching, he'll shout out and tell me it's called whatever. And that was about it. Obviously, the repair side of things, I pretty much learned that myself. I think the first component I actually installed in the PC was probably RAM, and it was EDO RAM back then, I think it was, so which is quite a few years ago, but we had quite a unique machine where it didn't have to go in pairs. It could actually have a pair and a single, but there we go. And then I think the first graphics card, or it wasn't even called a graphics card back then, it was a 3D
Video
card. No, it was a 3D card, this one was.
Oh.
So you had a graphics card, and then you had to add a 3D card as well if you wanted 3D effects in there. So it was a Voodoo. I think it was the original Voodoo. I think it was, and then
I remember those. Then
I got the combined one, which was a Voodoo Banshee, which was like, whoa, wow, it's got 3D and 2D graphics on it, and well, everything's like nowadays. So. And then you needed a sound card as well, and so forth. Yep. That's why you used to have loads of slots in the machine, because you needed them for all the extra things. Where nowadays, a lot of machines don't even have a graphics card in them. So, right. So let's have a look. So computer studies was available when I was at school, but only to girls, as you had to do RSA typing. Okay, sounds a little sexist, that one. If only girls could use the computers, but well, then again, I
guess they thought we were going to be the secretaries of the world, and we would need to know these things, you see.
Yeah, I suppose it's sexist in the other way as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I suppose. However you look at it. But there we go. So, right. So, Peter says 100% self-taught, though, although I did go on a iPad rehab 4 years ago in the hope to hone my microsoldering skills. And let's have a look. Oh, Cormac's logged in. I only just noticed that he's logged in. You are good looking a lot, but my accent is nicer. Okay.
Raheem brings up SLI. I remember the first time I heard it, but to know what it was just sort of like geeks talking in my ear at the time. My experience with it, though, I've never really needed it. It was one of those things that Phil used to do. Phil used to run cards with SLI.
Yeah, I did do SLI for a bit, but I found by the time you bought 2 graphics cards and all the messing about you had to do, I just ended up buying the more expensive one, to be honest with you. It tended to work out better that way. But yeah, it was... I think you can still sort of do it on, is it the 3090s have an option of doing that? Not that you really need to, and it's called something different now, but I can't think that anyone had ever...
I was going to say, why would you need to on a 3090, really?
There is a special name for it now, but I think it's one of those things that no one's pretty much going to ever use. And it's only a few limited ones. So, oh yeah, Cormac, for what you said, you deserve this, apparently. Don't know where that came from. It just happened to be here on my overlay. So, right, okay. So, who's the best tech out of the 5 of you? Well, it's definitely not you, Cormac, because you're not in the 5. So that answers that one. So I think the best tech of us is all of us combined. That's the answer, because if we don't know anything, we can ask in Tech for Techs, and someone will give us the answer.
We all have our niche. We all have the one thing that we are better at than someone else. And that's why when in Tech for Techs, when you ask that question, you have that one person that pops up and knows it's their forte, their niche, and everything. You don't always get the same person answering questions. And sometimes the answer to your question is you need to speak to so-and-so, a tag in. I did that today. I said the best person to answer that question for you is Fabrice. It was a question about fabs. And I said, who better than him to answer a question about his own product? I mean,
yeah, he makes it. I'm not sure if he works with his family to make it, if his son's involved or something. I might be wrong there, but yeah, best person to ask is the person who makes it and sells it. Is in the group. So just looking at other comments on there, and yeah, Richard Creedy saying it was called Amiga OS. Well, that was pretty original of him, or with Workbench. So yeah, that's probably why I couldn't remember the name of it, because it was pretty much
it was too simple for you.
It was the OS for Amiga, so Amiga OS. So let's have a look. Everything is a learning day. I remember using SLI on my friend's house in the early 2000s, late 90s. Sure, it was a couple of voodoo cards. I might be mistaken. You never know, possibly. I don't know if it was late 90s, mid-late 90s. It was probably still where it was a 2D card and a 3D card, where you probably had to add them both together, possibly, to make... to do it, because you used to have like a loop through lead, so you have to plug the, I can't remember which way it was now. I think you plugged your graphics card into which way would it have been? No, you would have plugged your monitor into the 3D card, and the 3D card would have a cable going from that on the outside into the 2D card, if I remember right. It was like a pass-through cable. So, but SLI, I'm not sure the exact year that came out, but it might have been 2000. Again, that's 20 odd years ago. I can't even remember what I had to eat yesterday, let alone 20 years ago. Right. Does anyone else in chat have anything else they want to add in, or any questions they want to ask before we call it a night? And do any of our guests have anything they'd like to add? No?
Nope.
Okay. Before we finish off, we've talked about your past. What do you see in your future before we go? Let's start with you, Jen. So what do you see in your future? Where do you see your businesses going?
Well, I see more going towards Tech for Tech and less in chips, if I'm fair. I would like to be on the Tech for Tech side of things, well, because it's my baby. I do enjoy the building and repairing in chips. Don't get me wrong. There will always be a soft spot in my heart for it. But I think as time goes on, I will probably be more hands-on in Tech for Techs. I like the people of Tech for Techs. We seem to all get along like a little family. We have our days and everything where we're like siblings and have a little rivalry going, but we get it all sorted out at the end of the day, and we take care of each other, and that's what it's all about, is taking care of each other.
That's pretty good. Let's have a look. Oh, Ian says, I was self-taught mainly, started up when friends said I should, as I was quite good at it. Yeah, it's quite often that one, with a lot of people say. That was 2010, been building PCs and upgrading them since I was 20, still learning today, though, which is a bonus. Well, that's it. Never stop learning is the main thing.
Yeah.
You'll never know everything, especially in this world. Everything changes on a daily basis, near enough. There's new products, new ways of doing things. There's even things I'll learn. For example, I didn't know how to use the shortcut F2 to rename a file till today. I probably did. I probably read it somewhere back 20 years ago and never used it. But obviously, we all know the usual ones like Control-C, V, X, and all that. But there's certain ones what we probably never used, or we only use once every now and again, and you never really learn the shortcut for it. And Peter says, nothing to add. Vodka is calling. Right, okay. I think, we all probably have some sort of drinker calling us. Let's just quickly go on to Maz then. Maz, where do you see yourself in the future then?
As I mentioned earlier before we started the stream, I'm in the process of just starting up a separate company to deal with IT support, kind of managed IT services, that kind of stuff. And I'm really hoping to kind of make that my main focus over the next year or so. Tech Girl is going to continue, and I will continue doing. I have some really good clients with Tech Girl doing video work and websites and hosting for a number of businesses as well. But yeah, I missed being hands-on with IT, helping people, being on the kind of being the face of you know, an IT department or you know, IT support. So yeah, I want to get back out there and miss all of that kind of stuff really. So whilst the creative side is nice and I do really enjoy it, I need to get back out there. Been stuck at my screen and in my office for way too long now, so turning into a hermit.
There we go. Yeah, it's been one of those things over the last year. Stuck at home has been a bit of a weird one, especially when you prefer to be hands-on, and with us, we're having a shop as well. But right, let's move on to Tim. Where do you see yourself in the future then, Tim?
Say I want to see the business grow for definite. The customer base is growing. I've got the shop side that I'm developing, that I'm hoping to expand to when it's all signed off and everything else. So yeah, let the business grow and yeah, keep teaching and interacting with the, you know, all the customers that come in, because that's why I do it. To be fair, yeah, it's nice doing it for the money, but I like the customer contact side of it. It's the reason why I like it's my respite in a way. It's kind of, I'm giving back to people that have taught me over the years. So
okay, that's pretty good then. Have you got any plans of exploiting child labour? Other than your kids or kids?
I haven't, but knowing my son does take an interest when they do come in, and yeah, if I've got a computer open, he does like being nosy. I'll never forget. Actually, a true story. I upgraded to the 750, the Corsair 750 B airflow case, which has got a big perspex window and a big size full tower, so it sticks out like a sore thumb. As soon as you put a Z390E gaming board in it, of course, it's got that LED glowing bit in the corner that comes with the board. And yeah, my son does pick up things. For example, he just went to school the next day and actively said to his teachers, "My daddy's computer flashes." And yeah, it was. But yeah, he quickly turned it. But yeah, he does understand it's not. Yeah, it's the computer. It just does it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's,
at least he didn't go to school and say "you flash." Okay.
Yeah.
no, that's true. Yeah. But, yeah.
Right, let's quickly go on to David then. David, where do you see yourself in a few years?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to possibly close the business. Maybe open like a Facebook group, call it Tech for Technicians, maybe. Master, Gigabyte, Cherry, you know, all of them, Target, Spire. I might invite some technicians into the group, you know, and yeah, close to the IT business. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Do you think? Does that sound good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think we're losing you there a little bit. We've lost him there.
Oh dear. Sounds like he wants to be adopted and everything, and leave the group too. Some days
seriously, where do you see yourself in where do you see yourself in a few years? Expanding your business or getting a store or what?
Yeah, probably a store. I mean, I've been mulling over the idea for probably maybe about 2 years. Looked at some premises. Is that the right word? Premise? That might be premise.
Premises.
But yeah, I mean, COVID hit really bad and the shops closed, and I thought, oh, you know, I'm not going to do that now. I've got really bad about that.
He's gargling right now.
Yeah, he's gargling a little bit, but I think we get the idea. You've looked at a few places, and you've potentially put it on hold while COVID's going off or something along that lines. I think he was trying to say.
Yeah. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you okay, but the others are saying you're gargling a little.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that was pretty much it. Just to move the business on. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. So yeah. So it's the logical next step, obviously, if that's what you want to do. Obviously, not everyone wants to open a shop. It's not logical for everyone. Sometimes you can make a decent living being an MSP or even working from a home because you've got no overheads and you can have more control over going on holiday and having days off. When you got a store, you got to open every day, unfortunately, and that's what we got to do tomorrow morning, unfortunately. But yeah, so in the future for me, we're going to be doing some more tech for tech stuff. I'm not going to tell you exactly what now because a lot of it's got NDAs and all this, that, and the other. But in the future, we plan on expanding tech for tech quite a bit, and it's hopefully going to be beneficial for everyone who's involved. But again, we have to do a step at a time. I'm not rushing anything, and if we rush stuff, then that's when everything goes tits up. Sorry for any kids listening. Right, guys. So let's have a look. So Raheem is asking, is the event next summer on the agenda of some future live chats? We will have live chats about it. We're basically in this talks at the moment for basically with a few, tomorrow I'm going to be basically contacting quite a few people regarding tables and stuff like that, sponsorships, see if we can get someone to pay for all the beer and stuff like that. So that's always good when you can get someone to pay for the beer, as well as the food and teas and coffees and all the different things like that. Because as you can imagine, hiring Bramwell Lane, the staff and the security guards is not cheap. So we need to get some sponsors in to pay for that. And obviously, then we're going to fill the tables up as well. We'll hopefully be around, hard to say how many vendors exactly, but we've got potentially 40, 50 tables in there for different vendors and so forth. Some vendors might take more than one table and so forth. But we've got some interesting names. Some people have contacted us before we've even got sponsorships out and asked anyone to do anything like that who are interested in doing stuff. And we'll be going more in depth into them when obviously we do actually sign them up and so forth, because they all have to get it approved by the marketing department, which then has to be approved in quarter whatever of the year and all this, that, and the other. So unfortunately, dealing with big companies is not a 5-minute job. You generally, you say hi to them and you get a reply a week later. Yeah, you've got our approval to say hi to us. And then we go from there sort of thing. It can be a bit slow progress. And that's one of the reasons we want to plan it so far away. But there will be some live chats on. We plan having on the run up to it. We'll have a shows dedicated why you should attend and stuff like that. We'll say who's coming, but we don't want to bore you to death with too much content about it. So we're not going to be running it every week. We'll do a mention every week. Obviously, if we get a new vendor, let's just say if XYZ distribution signs up, then we'll mention that. And when we've got tickets available, we'll mention that as well. Regarding tickets, the tickets, a lot of people have been asking what prices they are. The way we're doing it is the vendors and distributors are basically paying for everything. So you guys get it basically for free. When I say basically free, it's £1 for a ticket. And the reason we're saying £1 is basically so we can sort of say, yeah, you're definitely coming, rather than you signing up and saying, oh, yeah, I'm coming because it's free. If you actually have to think about it and pay £1, it obviously puts the people off who are just not going to show up. So it's just sort of like
it's like abandoning your trolley at Morrison's. You don't do it because you want your £1 back. Yeah,
you're basically committing to it by paying £1. And there'll be room for around about 500 guests or attendees. The evening will be a little bit smaller, so obviously when we do get the evening bookings open, we'll let you know about that. Again, that's just £1 as well on top, so £2 if you want the whole day, basically. So it's not too expensive. So, but the evening will be limited because obviously there's only so many tables you can fit in a room with so many people. But there will be a bar and it'll hopefully be free.
We do regret that there's not going to be a lot of room for the meal, because ideally we would have loved to have had everybody that's going to be there on the day to stay for the night do. But the thing is, the room, we had a choice we had to make. We could either downscale the event and have room for a lot of people to eat, or we could have a really good event and downscale the meal area. And I chose to have a really good event, because at the end of the day, you're not going to come all this way to eat. you're going to come for a good time and some good networking and making some new contacts with people. You can get food anywhere. So.
Yeah, but saying that, we're still going to have around about 100 seats for the evening meal, so we're still talking a good number. So we're not talking like 10 people. There's still going to be room, and it's going to be centered more around networking and talking to each other rather than being, you're all stuck on that table over there because your name's on it and so forth. It's going to be more of a free wander around, help yourself to the food sort of thing. It's not going to be like sandwiches or anything like that. It's going to be some decent food, and we're talking decent food, not... shall we say
fine dining where you have a little circle of mashed potatoes like this and 4 green beans and dried out chicken.
You'll get enough to fill you up after the day, hopefully. And worst case scenario, if there's plenty more people wanting to do things, the place is surrounded by pubs. There's no problem there, and we'll no doubt do something. Say, let's meet up in a pub the night before or something like that as well. So,
even let you buy us a drink.
Yeah, they'll probably want us to buy them a drink, but I think someone's more the answer. But yeah, no problem. So, right, guys, so let's call it a night. We do have a show next week. I'm trying to remember who we've got. So we've got PAX 8 on next week, which is Cloud Services. So if you're interested in cloud services and stuff, we have got PAX 8 on next week. That's PAX and the number 8. They'll be on next Thursday at 8 p.m. And then we've got some interesting shows in the coming weeks coming up as well. I'll be posting all about those over the weekend. Okay, so we'll see you all next week, guys. Thanks again for watching.
Bye. Good night.